Good morning. This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it's time for Avoid the Maze. The maze is our life. We're not going to get out of it. Well, yes, we will eventually when we all pass on. But in the meantime, we're going to go through twists and turns. We're going to come to dead ends, and occasionally we're going to wonder, how do we get around it or over it, or do we turn around and start over? My guest today is Gail. Is it Showalter?
Yes, it
I
is.
got it right. Normally don't get names right. And Gail, you talk about um, working with specifically single moms. And I was a single mom for a short period of time. And I know how difficult it can be. Number one, people look at you um, differently. And it doesn't make any difference, what your education is, what your economic value is, but we are looked at as almost beings that don't belong on this earth. At least that's how I felt when I went through it. So tell me, what is your story about single women, and why are you on this mission and have this purpose?
Okay, I have a long history, but I had everything. I had a beautiful home. I had three wonderful children that were all born in 3 years, and we were in a family business, and all of a sudden everything kind of fell apart when my children were still preschool age, and my husband left, and I had these three kids. The whole world just shifted for me. It was, talk about a maze. It was like I hit a dead end. And of course, I had to pull myself up. I had to be a mom. I had to get a job. I had to leave my youngest in daycare, which he hated. And then I realized that at some point, I'm going to have to live this life on life's terms. And so I decided to go back to college. Now, I had a teaching certificate, which made all the difference in the world, because I know a lot of single moms don't have a way to earn a living in that. I'll get to that in a minute. But the biggest challenge and the biggest shift in my maze was going back to school, earning that degree, and shifting my thinking about myself and my life, and realizing, okay, this is what I've got to do. This is the turn I have to take. And then many years later, after 16 years, I remarried. And that was a great blessing. I'm very fortunate to have a new life with my wonderful husband. But I kept having this passion for single moms. So in 2007, I began to do projects and events for single moms. But after several years of working with them and watching them and kind of coaching them as well, I realized that there was a common thread among the moms who were having the most difficulty. And that was moms that didn't have any sort of higher education or any kind of a certificate that allowed them to go out and get a really good job so that they could make a life for themselves and their children. Because, there are 10 million single mothers. There, 30% of them live in poverty, and that means that they don't have any way out. In other words, they've got to go to work every day. So how can they go to college, et cetera, et cetera? So we established a nonprofit. This was a big leap of faith for me. I thought, I can't get an organization to do this because we don't have that kind of money. It takes loads of money to do
Sure.
that. And so we started with one mom. And now you can look over here on my board. I have numerous moms that we have helped graduate and get jobs, and now are supporting their children and themselves. And so that's my passion. In the process, I began to write stories of my own experiences over the years, and they were published. And so then in 2015, I had the book published, but it was picked up by a publisher this last summer. So now I'm really excited because it's going to be on the shelves somewhere.
Yeah.
And book that of experiences where I learned things, learned ways to live life, get through this maze,
Yep.
make decisions and be independent and self-sufficient.
Well, being a single mom is not an easy thing. I did it for just a couple of years between my divorce and my meeting my current husband. Um, Even though I wasn't 100% the single mom because my son still could go see his dad and his dad helped out that much. Um, I didn't know how to spend my time with my son as a single mom because, and I don't know if you went through the same thing, but I know when you have a family and there's a dad and you're socializing with your kids, it's a family thing. Now you become the single mom, and there are certain things that you just don't go to anymore, or you think you shouldn't be going to anymore because that's for a family. And I didn't think about myself as a family. I just saw myself as the single mom. Plus, I had to take a job that didn't pay me very well, and I was working 6 days a week. So I didn't know how to enjoy my son. When you are meeting with these women today, what is it? What is the biggest thing that they come to you with? Is it the need for a better job, to better housing, or how to adapt to being a single parent?
Well, mostly, there are some priorities that seem to come to mind, and mostly it's finance. Mostly it's how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to get the best job? What do I need to do in order to get this job that I need? And sometimes the ones I work with are trying to get back to a level of education where they can have a skill and get a better job. So I do help a lot with that. But most of them, it's relationships and money. And so I have several topics that I cover with them and write about. But I always tell them that you need to gather information before you make these decisions. Moms are just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. They're just trying to get by day to day. And I always laugh and tell them, it's trying to make sure that on Monday morning everybody has clean underwear and some lunch money or something.
Right.
It's just basically getting through those little situations. I did have some child support, and I did, the kids would go to see their dad, but and I would make sure that on those times I planned time for myself to take care of me because during the week I was just exhausted, trying to make everything work, take care of the rent, take care of the house, take care of the car, take care of the yard if I had a yard, and then just getting by. So I tell moms to plan and to think about things, not just to fly at the mercy of, you know, whatever at the moment, because there seem to always be something going on. Like, mom, can I do this? Mom, can I spend the night there? Mom, can I do this? Mom, can somebody come over here? Da, da, da. It was like a circus almost. Yeah. And so I do tell the moms to have plans and to think about it because they are in control. And a lot of times they come out of situations where they had no control. I mean, I had a lot of moms, or several anyway, that left abusive situations with the clothes on their backs, and they managed somehow to get by and to raise their children out of sheer resilience and determination. But the most of them, it has to do with, how do I make enough money to get through this situation? How do I buy my children clothes? How do I buy my children new shoes when school starts? I always tell my donors the most difficult time for single moms is when school starts and Christmas, because those two times of the year demand expenses
Right.
for children. And I was able, my mom would actually sew clothes. I mean, for them, it was, just whatever we could do. And I don't mean to give the picture that I was destitute, because I was fortunate. Excuse me. I was fortunate because I did have a degree, and my father insisted that I get a teaching certificate. And so I did. And that helped. It helped me get by. But the most urging thing that I hear from them is, how am I going to make it? Sometimes I get calls, yes, about housing. Two or three times a year, people will contact me. Do you know a place this person can go live? And I don't. We don't have that here in this area. And but there are needs. There are needs for that. But that is not the most pressing need that I see. The most pressing need is financial stability.
And I think financial stability is an issue overall. It's more for the single mom. Not only is she going to work, okay, and her job has to be able to pay for her rent, the food, the insurance, and there's really nothing left over at the end of the month, even if the money can handle the whole expenses for the month. And I know, even though I got some child support from my ex-husband, I didn't live in the fanciest place. I've, made do. I took the old furniture. He kept all the new furniture, but I made it as much of a home as I could. My problem really was I wanted to be a family. And so I could not get my brain wrapped around me being that single mom. I didn't know, and nobody even recommended it back then. And this is back in the early 80s, that, hey, when your son goes to spend the weekend with his dad, make plans for yourself. I sat in my apartment and I cried all weekend because we weren't a family. It took me a long time, and really being remarried and, getting to be able to sit back and look and say, there's a real problem out there. I was part of that problem. And, how do we fix it? I don't think there's a magic wand that can fix it. And too many single moms don't even get the child support that they need.
That's right.
That becomes very, very difficult. But tell me, what are some of the things that single moms EmpowerEd stand for? Do you have a mission statement?
Yes, we are here to encourage and inspire single moms to reach their highest potential through higher education. And I always say, as a distractor here, I am not one of these people that thinks everyone needs to have a college degree, because I have 3 children who do not have college degrees, but are doing just fine. The thing is, in this country, if you're a single mother, you need something that will ensure your job capabilities. You really need that. And I was glad that my dad insisted that I get a college degree when I did.
Sure.
But these women can get 2-year degrees. We have women who've gotten LVNs. We've got a police officer. We have got a social worker. We have got radiology is a big thing now. So some of these are 2-year programs. Some of them are not. We helped them, 2 moms, one get a social work degree, one get a degree in registered nursing. She's got a great job right now. And so it's a flexible thing that we do with the moms to get them on their feet. But that's our passion, is to provide emotional, spiritual, and financial support for 2 years while they earn a certificate or a degree that leads to employment. So that is our statement. That is what we're about. We have like I said, several moms out there. One just finished with dental hygiene. And so we're very proud of them. We're very careful who we pick. They have to be motivated. They have to have done their homework and be ready to start classes as soon as possible. So, but there are many, many moms out there that are ready for this and are really needing this. And I admire them because I think single moms in this country are the hardest working women there are.
I worked for a private college for 10 years, and I was an admissions rep. And my office was in the inner city in Cleveland. And I had a very difficult time because young girls, young women would come in with their children in tow because they don't have a job, they don't have anybody who's going to take care of their kids, to talk to me about attending classes. And we were very, very expensive. But it wasn't my job to determine whether they could afford it or not. It was supposed to be my job that I was convince them that they had to go to school. And then once they got convinced, then they'd go to financial aid, and financial aid would work their magic, but they gave them all loans. There were very few scholarships. And I would talk to these individuals and warn them, you know, this is going to cost you years and years of salary to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
If there is something that you truly want to pursue and you are going to do it, and like you said, with the passion, with the commitment, I'm here for you. I'll help you all the way that I can. After 10 years, my management did not like my style. And I kept saying, I get plenty of students in, and I get plenty of students who stay in and they pay back their student loans. I said, but when I'm talking to a young mother with 2 or 3 kids sitting on the floor because she can't afford daycare, and I'm asking her to spend $15,000, $20,000 a year towards a degree, it may or may not really be what she wants, but somebody's told her it's what she wants. So I love the fact that when you are talking to women, you are having them basically tell you that they want to go to school.
Absolutely.
And finding right.
Yeah.
And that to me is even more important. It's not about, and I agree with you, not everybody needs a college education. We need an education in something that we can work at and make a living at.
Mm-hmm.
So your graduates of your program, the way I'd like to see them, the ones who have gone on and are working, are they involved in the program as they move on?
Some of them a little bit, but most of them are, their lives are totally consumed. They're very, very busy women. The oldest one, and the one that was our first candidate student, she is now a social worker. And I see more of her than the others because she is a more mature woman and she's more involved. Some of the others, we will have an event next couple of weeks from now on financial wellness, and I'll see some of them there involved in that. And so we do have opportunities, like, for example, and your listeners can participate in this, beginning June the 14th, this Saturday at 2:00, I'm having a Zoom called Single Moms Connect. It's like a networking Zoom meeting, 40 minutes, simple, very simple. They just get the link and sign in, and they can email me for that link. So that this could be for moms anywhere that are listening. Doesn't have to be in Southeast Texas. But what we do is we try to get them to be supportive of each other when necessary. Sometimes we'll see the match. We'll say, well, you need to meet with so-and-so, because like I mentioned, this older woman, the first woman that has a social work degree and is working for her certification now, she's a great counsel and wonderful help to moms maybe that are just trying to start this process. So that's one of the things we do. But as far as getting them all together, that's a more difficult process
Sure.
because they each have such complicated lives. We have one mom that has 5 children, but she managed to get her nursing, her LVN last year. And so I'm just amazed how she's managed to do that. Now, some moms can do this nowadays online, and they can do a lot online. And this can be done even when you have children,
Right.
which is a real plus for women and for these moms. But as far as interacting together, that's much more complicated to get
Sure.
them together. But we do have events, and every few years we have a big bingo fundraiser, and we get them there, and they testify to the group what we've done and how this has helped them and that sort of thing. Yeah.
So you're in Texas. Are there other organizations like yourself around the United States that you're aware of?
Yes. Texas has Buckner, which is a pretty well-known organization that started with orphanages, but now they even have homes for really nice facilities for elderly people. They have a program for families, single mother families, where the moms can go to school and they have apartments for them to live in. They have childcare and all that, but they have to have funds to set this up. I think there are about 7 of them in the state of Texas. Now, there's another program called the Jeremiah Project that does this. And they're in Texas, but there are other places as well. So across the country, there are some other facilities. And before I forget, I wanted to add that if you have listeners who need grant money for college, and if they're within, like, say, 18 months of graduating and they're having financials and they need help, there is a national or international organization that I'm a member of, PEO International, and they can contact me and I'll see if I can get them in touch with people in their location where they could apply for that kind of grant. These are really good grants, and they're low interest loans if they need a loan. Like you did, I don't encourage loans. I encourage grants and scholarships. And sometimes it's just a matter of getting the information, finding out where to go and who to call.
Right, exactly. So you've been doing this work for how long now?
2007. So that's 18 years.
Yeah, 18 years.
Yeah.
So do you see it changing for the better now than when you first started? Or do you think we have more complications in helping these young women?
That's a hard question. I don't think it's getting better. I wish I could say that it was. I wish I could say it's great now, but with our economy and the cost of groceries and the cost of childcare, there are times when I go to the grocery store and I think, how are these women managing
Yeah.
the price of eggs? I mean, and then you want them to eat right. You want them to be serving their children nourishing meals. But no, I don't think it's getting a lot better. It should be. We would think it ought to be because of the knowledge we have, but I'm afraid it's not.
Yeah. I sort of agree with you. Our economy is not helping the situation. And what I am seeing on my end is I'm seeing more divorce and mothers realizing that they're going to be the one who is going to have to support their child moving forward. That dad may be ordered to pay the money, but if dad doesn't have it, where do you get it from? And so my heart goes out to them. I work with a number of people here in the area as well, and I'm going to ensure that they listen to this podcast, reach out to you if they have any questions, because we all deserve to bring up our kids in the best way possible. And my stint being a single mom was very short-lived, luckily. And luckily, my current husband of 41 years, he took my son under his wing as well, as did his parents. So anything that he may have missed out those couple of years when mom couldn't afford it, they certainly made up for it over the years. So, but doesn't happen for everybody. And I understand that. Gail, we're going to have all your information in the show notes. And I want to thank you for joining me today. It's been
Well, thank you for having me. Anybody wants some information from me, get a hold of me. You know how to do it. So I'd be glad to meet with you.
Thank you. Have a great day now.
Thank you. You too.